In this video, I'm going to show you how I went about creating this game from scratch in only 8 days using Unity and Blender and publishing it on itch.io. It all started a few weeks ago when Venicipian subtly suggested that we should do a game jam for the Farewell North Discord community. I put a poll out to the Discord server to see if anyone else is interested, and lo and behold, over 70 people signed up. So, on April 10th, the jam kicked off, and here's what happened. Enjoy! Hello! Today is April 9th, it's just one day before the game jam starts, and I've just been doing a little bit of work on Farewell North. I don't want to start anything new necessarily because I'll be taking a week off starting tomorrow to participate in the game jam, so I'm just doing a little house cleaning and bug fixing on the UIs. So yeah, the jam starts in about 24 hours, I think we are just under 24 hours to go. I actually don't even know what the theme is going to be yet, because we're doing a secret vote over on Discord, so no one, including myself, will know the theme until the moment the jam starts. And yeah, so I'm just taking today to tidy up these old UIs. They've kind of been neglected for a few months, so a few bugs have popped up as the rest of the game's been progressing. So I'm just going to take the day to tidy those up, clean up a couple loose ends, and then mostly just take it easy before the jam kicks off tomorrow. So it's currently Saturday morning, it's about 3 hours before the jam starts. Obviously still don't know the theme, so the way this works is we just have a little bot on Discord where everyone gets 2 votes, and there are 5 themes there that I selected that they can vote on. And the votes are anonymous and they're hidden until the deadline, which is the start of the jam. So even for myself, I can't see the results. I'll just show you here, this is all I can really see is my 2 votes went to Growth and Not Alone. My votes weigh the same as everyone else's, and yeah. So until then, obviously can't do anything, but I can start gathering some reference art. So I do have a bit of an idea in mind of what kind of game and what setting I want to make, but obviously until the theme is announced, I won't know how to adapt the gameplay to the theme. So I'm just gonna spend the morning gathering some reference art and get some fresh air before the jam starts. And yeah, so I'll check back in once the theme's announced and get to work. Alright, so it's just a few seconds before the theme is going to be announced, so I'm just preparing a message here on the Discord to announce it to the group and to publish it to itch. So if we show the results of the poll now, it should be ready, and it looks like light and dark wins it, so that's cool. So that's obviously not one that I voted for, that's okay. This is actually one that was submitted by the community. I think a member named Star Warrior submitted this one, so seems like that's what the community wants, so that's what we'll do. So I'm just going to announce it here on the Discord and update the itch page, and then it's time to get to work. Alright, so I've just been spending some time doing some brainstorming and this beautiful artwork that you can see here. So obviously I knew kind of the setting of the game that I wanted to make, but now that the theme's available, I'm able to actually design the gameplay. So the idea is that you're going to play as an astronaut who's stranded on a planet, and there's going to be meteors coming, so you are going to be basically growing a massive sunflower to try and climb away back to your home planet. So it's kind of silly, but that's the idea I came up with. So I'm going to just get started setting up the project and setting up the basic movement, and I'll check back in. Okay, so it's been a few hours, and as you can see, I've got a very, very basic scene set up here. So I wanted the planet to actually be spherical, so you could actually walk from one pole to another all the way around the planet. And I figured that was going to be probably one of the more challenging bits, just to figure out how I was going to manage that. So I got that working in a couple hours. I was thinking about doing this through shaders and just having the curvature be kind of faked, but in the end I decided to actually go with using physics. Basically gravity changes as you're walking around the sphere. So anyways, that's working. You can walk around, you are carrying a little placeholder plant there, and there is a sun that's kind of orbiting the planet, and the idea is going to be that you need to stay in the kind of light area of the sun in order to grow your plant, in order to climb away. So yeah, that's probably going to be it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to do the player model and start actually implementing the gameplay. Alright, so it is Sunday morning here, and day 2 of the jam. So this morning I've been working on the player model. So as I said yesterday, he's going to be an astronaut character, And so I just brought in some of the reference images that I'd collected yesterday morning, brought them into Blender, and didn't really use them to necessarily copy, but just use them as kind of reference materials, and basically put together something that's like a blend of the different aspects of the references that I liked. I quickly put that together. It's looking pretty good. I might come back and tidy this up later, but yeah, I put some little details and highlights on him. I also gave him a transparent mask and put a little head inside. The idea here is that kind of towards the end of my to-do list, I might try and do some emotes or emojis or something like that on his face, just to give him a little bit of character. Specifically in this cutscene that I have in mind. But yeah, for now, that's probably not high priority. The other thing I did was set up Rigify, which always gives me problems, so I had to watch a bunch of tutorials and try and remember how to get things working in Unity. I grabbed some Mixamo animations just to kind of act as placeholders to make sure that the rig is working, make sure that I can animate everything properly, and then later on in the week I'll do some custom animations. But for now, he's got just placeholder run idle animations. I also considered adding this idea of water and having to balance water as well as a resource, and so I added a kneel animation so you could put the sunflower pot in the water. So that's working now too. I'll redo these animations later in the week, but for now I'm going to move on to the sunflower and model that up, and I'll show you that when it's done. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the sunflower going now, and as I was working on this, I noticed a problem, which is that it's really difficult to tell where the sun is if you're not directly underneath it. So I had the idea to have the sunflower kind of act like a homing beacon or like a satellite, and it's always looking at the sun, and then this way you always have some sort of kind of guide to where the sun is. And the other thing is I added little, almost God ray kind of things coming off the sun, so they'll also just kind of give you more of a hint as to where the sun is. That's these particles that are coming down. And yeah, so I think it's working pretty well. I think I'll call it there for today, and I'll check in with you tomorrow. Okay, so it's Monday evening here, and I didn't really do much filming today, but I've been working on redoing all the animations. So before, like I said, I was using Mixamo, now I've done all custom animations for it. You'll notice I'm not really animating the hands because that's all going to be done procedurally. So here's the idle animation. He kind of just looks back and forth, and there's just a little bit of twist in the torso. Nothing too fancy. So here's the run animation. There's a little bit of a problem. It looks like he's kind of limping, but like I said, it's a game jam. I'm not too worried about all this, and from behind you don't really notice it, so I think it's fine for now. If I ever do any cutscenes or anything like that, I might need to fix it, but for the moment it is just fine. So the final animation for the moment is the kneeling animation, and this is when you're placing the plant in water. So it's broken into 3 parts, or I will be breaking it into 3 parts in Unity. So you'll kind of kneel down, the middle part will be loopable as long as you're holding the kneel button, and then you'll stand back up once you let go of the button. And again, I'm kind of just moving the arms down, but the hands are going to be done procedurally, so there's no animation there right now. And yeah, I think it's good enough for now. Animation's not my strong suit, as you guys like to point out on YouTube, so yeah, I think it's okay for now, and I'll try and touch these up later if there's time. But the final thing to do is to set up the procedural animation. So I've got that working here, so you can see wherever the plant goes, the hands follow. And this is called procedural animation or animation rigging. And I use this a lot in Farewell North as well for petting the dog and opening gates and that kind of thing. But it's just a really nice way to kind of do the animation at runtime as opposed to pre-doing it in Blender. And then I can just animate the plant. And you can see here the hand kind of just follows. And there's a little bit of a problem because the hand kind of bends in a weird way, but when you're actually in game, you can't see it anyway, so it's not a big deal. I think game jams are all about kind of, just getting the game done as quick as possible and then going back and touching up what you can. So I'm not too worried about these things for the moment. But yeah, I think it's starting to come together. I think getting these animations in place and having the animation rigging there is a big step. It's one of the more time-consuming portions of the project, so I think we're in a good place and it's time to keep going. Alright, so it is Tuesday here, and I didn't really do any filming or recording today. I just want to give you a little bit of a demo of what I've been working on. So it wasn't the most productive day, but I spent a little bit of time doing some post-processing and a couple of effects. So you can see here the plant glows when it's in the sunlight. There's a star field in the background, and I added some post-processing like depth of field and bloom, just to make the environment stand out and look a little bit better. yeah, I think it's coming along. Hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit more productive though, and I'll finish up the actual gameplay. Alright, so Wednesday did not turn out to be very productive at all. I actually only ended up working on Farewell North and didn't do anything on the Game Jam game. It was just a beautiful day, so I wanted to go out and explore the city as opposed to sitting behind the computer. But today, Thursday, has been much more productive. I'm actually off work today, just kind of coincidentally, so that works out well. So as you can see here, I've been working on the plant growing. So the way that this works is that the sun and water kind of have to be kept in sort of like a middle area. So if they get too high or they get too low, the meters will turn red and the plant will stop growing. But as long as they're kind of in the middle, then the plant will kind of glow like that and it'll grow up essentially infinitely tall. I'm thinking that it's just basically, there's not going to be like an end game. The score is just going to be how tall you got the plant. The other thing I worked on today was the main menu. As you can see, it's got a nice button to open up the Farewell North Steam page if you wanted to go wishlist that. A subtle hint, link in the description. It's also got a link to the Discord, and then it just has a play and a credits button. And basically this is going to act as both the main menu and the pause menu, so I don't have to do both. And as you can see, I ended up calling it Helianthus, which is the scientific name for a sunflower, but it also kind of sounds like something you might find in space, so I feel like that goes well together. I might end up changing that, but I kind of like the name for now, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, so it's starting to come together, it's starting to actually feel like a game. You have the score there in the top right, which is how tall you've grown your sunflower. And then tomorrow or Saturday, I need to add the meteors, so there's actually something to avoid and some sort of, antagonizing effect. But yeah, for now it's starting to actually be a game, which is great. One thing that I'm particularly enjoying about this whole idea is that as the plant grows big and tall, I have the camera zooming back to keep both the plant and the player in view. And it makes everything seem very, very small. So you could almost imagine, if I kept working on this beyond the jam, having many planets, and you're kind of just growing your sunflower to climb from planet to planet to planet, and kind of exploring this solar system or something like that. I'm not sure that I'm going to keep working on it, but I just like that idea, and I think it's kind of a cute, silly game. So anyways, that's it for today. I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. Alright, it's just about lunchtime on Friday, and we're getting down to the final 48 hours of the jam. So this morning my goal was to do two things. One, to add the leaves that spawn and kind of animate in as the plant is growing, and the other is to set up the asteroids, which are kind of the last major feature left in the game and the primary kind of antagonist of the game. So I just modeled up like a basic leaf node in Blender and wrote a little bit of code to have them spawn in. I also created the asteroid model, which is just like a very simple sphere with some kind of dents in it and a little bit of coloring. And yeah, so I've got those in game now. There's no effects on the asteroids yet. That'll be something probably for tomorrow. But for now, I just wanted to show you what is currently there. So yeah, so the two things to look for here in this video are the leaves that grow in. So I just need to get my water and my sunlight meters up for the plant to start growing again. And the other thing to notice is the red lights. So like I said, I haven't done the effects for the asteroids yet, but the idea is that they'll be on fire, which is why there's a light. And then the gameplay purpose of the light is that it lets the player know where the asteroid's about to hit, so they're not just like surprised by it. And so yeah, now that the plant's growing again, you'll see these leaves kind of spawn in from the bottom, and they kind of slowly grow into place, so they're not just popping in. I think it looks alright. So I also want to show you what happens when the asteroid actually hits you. And so the idea is that the sunlight and the water meters get reset, and that's going to play into the health system that I'm going to work on this afternoon, so that there's actually a way for the plant to die and for you to lose. But that's where we're at for now, so it is time to go get some lunch. I'm going to try a new sandwich place, work on Farewell North for a little bit, and then I'll check in with you in the afternoon. Alright, so it's now several hours later, and I got a lot done this afternoon actually. I didn't really record much of it, but I'm going to give you guys a demo now. So the first thing you'll probably see is the new health bar in the top left, the green bar there. And basically this is not going to be something that can regenerate, it'll only ever go down, and if it gets down to 0, it's game over. So whenever your sunlight or your water meter are too high or too low, and they turn red, your health is going to be decreasing. If both of them are red, it'll decrease twice as fast. And so this plays in with the asteroids because they obviously wipe out the meter, and it's pretty tough to recover from that, so I've got it balanced so that you can pretty much only ever get hit by one asteroid, and you have to hustle to recover from it. If you get hit by a second, it's pretty much going to be game over. So it feels pretty well balanced for now, and then as the asteroids pick up speed toward, like as the game progresses, it gets more and more difficult, and kind of makes it so that, you know, there's probably a time where it just gets too crazy, and you probably can't proceed anymore. The other thing I did was add a couple more effects to the plant, so you can see that when you're growing, there is some particles that are coming into the sunflower, and the whole plant is kind of glowing. And as your health decreases, the plant is kind of wilting away, and it, you know, turns brown, and eventually you end up here on this new game over screen. So again, I just reused the same pause/main menu, changed the title to say game over, but I also put the high score there, and that's actually persisted. So, you know, if you wanted to keep playing, that score is saved for you. What else can I show you? I think that's probably it for now. But basically, yeah, this afternoon was spent doing like the whole health system so that there is an kind of end of game state, and you can't just play forever. So it gets pretty hectic as the game goes on, and I think that's good. Like, I think this will be something that's fun for, you know, just a few minutes. I don't think this is a game that you're going to play a dozen times or anything like that, but it is fun for a few minutes, and I think I'm pretty happy with how it's come along for, you know, a 1 week project. So the plan is for tomorrow to do a few final things. So for instance, the asteroid effects, some sound effects. I want to do a kind of intro cutscene, and if there's time, maybe tomorrow or Sunday before time to submit, I'll do a online leaderboard, just so there's a little bit more replay value. But yeah, I think for a 1 week project, this is all right. But yeah, I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. All right, it's now Saturday. There's 24 hours left. It's been a really busy day, really productive. I decided to completely redo the sunlight system. I'll show you why in a minute. I added some all-new effects to the asteroids and a few other things. I added some sound effects to the game, so footsteps and asteroid noises. I created a bunch of props and made an intro cutscene. So here's a look at the game now. So that was the new intro cutscene, so that'll just play once when you first start the game. I decided not to do animations for that and instead just like have very subtle movement and camera animation, just because that would save me a ton of time. So it's mostly just still shots with a few very simple transform animations. A few things you'll notice probably right away are that there's no sunlight meter in the top left anymore. So the way the sunlight works now is you have to keep your water meter topped up, but the sunlight applies when you're actually inside the sun. So this way the goal of the game is more to follow the sun and just kind of keep your water topped up. I also sped up the game considerably, so your movement speed and everything is much faster now. I just feel like it's a little bit more arcadey, a little more fun. As you can see, I added the particle trails to the asteroids, so they have like fire and smoke particles. They're just really simple circles because we're running low on time here, but I think it looks pretty good. And yeah, so it starts to get pretty hectic as the game goes on, so the asteroids come more and more frequently, and with all the trails coming from the sky, it gets pretty crazy. But I think it's starting to become kind of fun. So I think it's in a state now basically where it's essentially done. I'm going to send it out to a few friends to get some feedback. I'm probably not going to create the itch page until tomorrow, and I might do a couple more tweaks, but for now I think it's actually good enough to submit, so I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so it is Sunday. It is just a couple hours until the submission deadline, and I've actually just submitted the game, but I wanted to show you some updates I've made in the last couple hours. So I ended up changing the scoring system, and I actually did put an end game cutscene in the game. So you'll see there's like a percentage meter in the top right. I didn't really have much time to come up with a better system for this, but once you hit 100%, your plant is tall enough and you've kind of completed the game, and there's like an exit cutscene. I won't show that here, won't spoil it, so if you do want to check that out, go check out the game. There'll be a link in the description. But yeah, just some kind of like last minute tweaks and touch-ups. I also changed the way that the asteroids spawn, so that it's a little bit more random. They're not always just like going to fall right on your head. It's a little bit of RNG there, but it's a little more chaotic as well, I find. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So it was 8 days well spent, I'd say. I still worked on Farewell North every day because I didn't want to give up momentum on that. But it was still, I would say, a nice mental break from Farewell North. I'm excited to get back to it tomorrow, though. So I think there's going to be, of course, this video. There'll be one more video playing through all the jam games, and I encourage you to play through them yourselves as well. Give some feedback. And then we'll be back to normal Farewell North devlogs. But yeah, if you do check out the game, do let me know what you think. I know, it's probably not something I'm going to keep working on or anything like that, but who knows, maybe if a lot of people like it or some, bored at some point in the future, I might come back and update it. I think something I was saying earlier would be to have multiple planets and have them be different levels. That might be interesting. But for now, it is what it is, and I'm pretty happy with it. So it's now just 45 minutes until the deadline. I've just been touching up the itch page and checking out some of the other submissions. We've got about 17 submissions now from 73 people, with maybe 1 or 2 more coming. So huge thanks to everyone who participated. I know a lot of folks made their very first games with this jam, which is super cool. So I'll be making a video playing the games. I definitely encourage you to check them out as well, and so I'll leave a link in the comments. Just want to say a huge thanks to everyone who participated and made the jam a success. It was a lot of fun. I hope it was fun for you as well. For now, I need to get started editing this video and get a little bit of rest before the work week starts. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.